Welcome to episode 2 of HAMBASSADORS, our show about...
Hamilton?
Nah, not Hamilton. It's confusing. It's a show about Between Two Beers. It's a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit about us. But it is confusing because HAMBASSADORS sounds like it is a show about Hamilton. And while we love Hamilton, it's not exclusively about how good Hamilton is it?
Yeah, it's a bit Inception, isn't it? Like, there's just lots of different layers of Hamilton. But HAMBASSADORS, in this context, is like Taylor Swift's Swifties. It's our community that get an opportunity to have their questions answered, to pick away a little bit more about the podcast, maybe about us as people. And we love getting that feedback. We love being able to talk directly to you guys out there listening. So keep that feedback coming. Nicely said.
Yeah, this is our second ep. We had some great response from the first one. So yeah, we're looking to make it a regular thing. So yeah, a bit of Q&A. We might go on a few tangents about things which are important to us. But yeah, let's get into it. So what are we starting with, Shay?
We are going to start with an interesting question from one of our listeners, Bonnie Holloway. I'm not sure if she's a relation of yours or not. Bonnie Holloway?
Yeah. Yeah.
She has asked, have either of you fallen victim to any scams recently? Now, I think this is a loaded question because she knows very well that I haven't fallen for any scams recently. Yeah, so I guess the spotlight falls on you.
Yeah. So you might have seen there's been quite a lot of scams in the news media at the moment, and very high-level ones, which a lot of people have been getting caught out on. I was victim to one last week. Very high-level. I
don't know if it was that high-level.
I got a text message from... a random number, but it had in brackets NZ Post. You have a package has been delivered to the wrong address. Click this link to get it. I was like, oh, okay. And it just so happened I was waiting for a package. So
can I pause you there? A link in a text message? Is that not a suspicious start?
Look, as we go along, there's going to be a lot of red flags.
Okay,
probably should have. Should have given the game away. But I've clicked the link. I've got a package coming. It hasn't arrived. I've been waiting for it. It's like, oh, okay, it must have been sent to the wrong address.
What was the package?
It was some like stretchy bands that I've been doing exercise for my hips, and it was like through a band thing. Yeah. I go through to the New Zealand Post account. So the link takes you through to this very official looking New Zealand Post account. You enter your details, and it says, we'll send the package out. We just need 85 cents for a fee for something. Relocation.
Such a red flag straight away.
God. I think, 85 cents, that's fine. Yeah, all good. Enter my credit card details, and I get that little spinning wheel of death, and it's like processing. And it doesn't go through. I tried a few times. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. Really want that package, though. So, okay, here's my first and second errors. I think
first and second?
I think I'll try another card.
What card did you try?
I got the Between Two Beers credit card out and entered that one in. Same thing, spinning wheel of death, processing. I thought, okay, that's weird. Maybe I'll try it on my desktop because I was trying it on my phone. Maybe it's an issue with my phone. So I copied the link and I opened up on desktop on my work computer, and it flipped up and it said,
"You're
just
a fucking
a warning."
idiot.
He said, "You're a fucking idiot, mate. This is obviously a scam site." He said, "Hey, just a warning. This site actually doesn't look legit, so maybe you should question whether you want to progress." And that's when the alarm bell went off. Like, okay, yeah, this does seem a bit strange. So yeah, bit of rigmarole. I had to cancel both of those credit cards.
One being our business card.
Our business credit card. Hat in hand, I had to come to you and explain the situation. And yeah, it's not my finest moment.
Now, this is forgivable because the very next day on Twitter, I saw some other idiot had fallen for the scam and spoken about how realistic it was.
It's a good scam.
So that was a mitigating factor. I feel like what's not a mitigating factor is this isn't your first infringement in terms of an internet scam, is it?
Well, no, I don't agree with that.
Involving Between Two Beers.
Yes, what you're referring to is when I allegedly tried to buy Instagram followers.
I don't think there's anything alleged about it.
It was a site promoting Instagram growth. I still think it was a legit site, but yeah, I did enter our credit card details and there was money coming out of account, but yeah, I think that was all right.
Thankfully, that was your personal account, which you then had to cancel your credit card.
Look, I realise I might be a bit of a liability in that side of the business, so I can understand if you need to take any.
The other
precautions in
amazing
future.
thing about this is on both those occasions, Bonnie has direct messaged me,
Yeah.
sort of shameful for your embarrassed on your behalf
Wife.
for your actions.
Yeah,
but you live and you
that's
learn.
Me. Yeah, and that's me. And you take the full package.
Yeah, and you learn. What is it? What's the saying? Fool me once,
Shame on you.
shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on Steve.
Steve, there you go. All right, moving on. Question from Paulie Rudds. Who is your dream international guest?
There's so many to choose from here. I've got two names that jump to mind straight away. One is Joe Rogan.
Really?
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. He's spoken. I think the gold in that one is the amount of people that interesting people that he's spoken to.
Yeah.
So talking to Joe Rogan about the people that he's talked to.
Okay.
And along the same
of
lines.
all the people in the world.
Well, you've asked me to answer. I'm answering
yeah,
it.
Play on.
The other one is along the same lines.
There's a lot of people in the world.
Would be Graham Norton. For the same reason of, like, I'm fascinated by that show and that man. And I think our methods are quite similar. Maybe we could compare notes.
There's a lot of people in the world.
Well, who would you go for then?
Amazing.
Who would you, like, go on. Put some names out there. I've done.
Tiger Woods.
Boring. Next.
Barack Obama.
Okay, there's more merit in that one.
Graham Norton's a good one too.
No. Don't skip on. Don't brush over this. Who else?
I don't know.
Who's your dream? Maybe they're not international. Any dream guest? You talk to anyone in the world. It's a great question, Paulie Rudds.
Yeah.
Anyone. I guess they have to be alive. I've had Mike Tyson just pop into my head now.
Nah, don't rate it. Nah, I can't think of someone good. Put me on the spot. Don't ever do that again, you son of a bitch.
You put me on the spot.
All right, next question.
What's the process in planning to ask someone about the details of some of the worst moments of their lives? From Murray Bolton. So I'm thinking, like your Mia Motus, your Dwayne Daltons. Like, we've had some people that have had some incredibly challenging moments.
Yeah.
You need to handle them with respect.
Yeah, that's a good question. And we've actually recorded a number of really heavy episodes which are about to be released. And we do put a lot of thought into approaching this stuff because essentially we're inviting people in of profile a lot of the time to share their rock bottom moments and their vulnerable times. And if you don't approach them with the right empathy or tact, I feel like it can come off like you're just doing it for sort of sensational reasons. And it always needs to be framed, in my opinion, as there's a reason for telling these stories, and it's to help other people. Most of the time, it's to help other people like grow and learn and be inspired from your story. So we always try to get as much information as we can about the incident and then think of a way to frame it. We often say, in as much as little detail, put the power back into the guest's hands about how much they want to go into it. Often when we do that, they give a lot. And we also offer them a safety net, and we say, look, when talking about these things, if there's anything you want to take back, because we encourage you to get swept away in the rawness of the story. If there's anything you want back, then you have that right. And I think that creates a space where they feel okay sharing. But it is something we give a lot of thought to, because a lot of the time it is the core of these episodes, and it is something perhaps they haven't talked about a lot.
I feel like the fact that it's long form as well means that we're not looking for the soundbite. We're not looking for the little headline, and they can actually give context and relevance around those stories too, and silence, not wanting to finish the story on their behalf or prompt them to hurry up and get to the point. Silence is really powerful, I think, in those moments.
It is, and so is the structure. I think of Mia Motu, the way we wanted to really showcase her lighter side and her bubbliness and her sort of infectious energy and enthusiasm before we got to that, because if you go straight into heavy, people, it might be hard to come back from that. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it is, a lot of thought goes into the planning and the structure and how we approach that stuff.
And pre-chat too, that we are going to get there, so that they don't feel like we're going to go there straight away, especially when it's something that's well known and big.
Yeah. Next question from Hannah Blake. She asks, was Steve's rat's tail from the fashion comp real? A little bit of context around this for those who haven't seen. After the Huffer episode, our marketing manager thought it would be a good idea to get a bunch of our worst fashion crimes and put them together in a few slides.
Little head-to-head, little fashion wars.
To see who had the worst style over the years. And it was for all accounts, it was a pretty closely run race.
I don't think it was.
And a lot of people were saying the final slide was the decider, and it was me with what appeared to be a long rat's tail coming sort of down my neck and across my chest. And no, it wasn't real. I didn't tell anyone it wasn't real. I let them believe that was a look, a Hamilton Boganish look from the late 2000s. But no, it wasn't. The rest of them were genuine fashion crimes. I think the one with Steve Dunstan, the Huffer founder, called me out on the Billabong singlet and the silly glasses and the little flax cap.
It was me that called you out on the hat.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people let the hat slide. What was that?
Just a flax number. It was fashionable at the time. Bon has had a lot of comments from her friends like, "How you weren't with him at this time, were you? Surely the state of it."
And was she?
No, she wasn't. Actually.
Yeah, she's responsible for a lot of your good fashion sense, which we can see today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you.
Well, were you trying to claim those? You're trying to claim that all of your good fashion options are not just Bon?
No, I'm not. I was just thinking about you coming at me for my fashion, and I just think it's real Glasshouse's situation.
Well, that's why I've simplified my look now. Like, again, there was some... In the research for some of those photos, I made a startling revelation that the jean short, or the jort, has been a real consistent part of my wardrobe for a number of years. There are a lot of photos of me going back to early 2000s where I had almost a white jean short, your classic John Cena jean short. The ones now I think are quite fashionable with rips in them.
I think the same way that a nice brassiere brings the gaze to a woman's breast, a nice tight jort really takes the focus onto those powerful trunks. I mean, and that's a lot of people have said that's the best part of your body.
Yeah, they have.
So I can understand it.
Yeah, but no, I know what you mean. So yeah, a lot of people now, the trademark Shay look is black t-shirt, and obviously I've succumbed to fashion pressure because today I'm not wearing the black t-shirt.
Yeah, look at you.
A khaki pant.
Yeah.
And a white sneaker.
Yeah.
And the white sneaker runs in 3 different varieties generally.
Yeah.
And it's just simple.
Yeah.
It just makes it easy.
Now, you were at the FIFA Congress last night, and you sent me a few messages from the crowd saying, I didn't realise this was quite a big deal, with a photo of FIFA President Gianni Infantino. And you also shared that you were wearing the white shoes, which I think needs to be retired in your formal dress wear.
Nah, I thought about it. I thought, I've made an error here. So for context, I've gone with a grey dress pant and a white sneaker, a Veja, if you will. A lot of Europeans run that look. A lot of FIFA people run that look with the FIFA suit and the Adidas sneaker.
Do they?
They do. I think where I came unstuck was I wasn't wearing a suit. So I had the business pant, I had the button-up shirt, but I had this grey jumper on over the top. So it was a sort of a mismatch
you let
of...
yourself down, eh?
Okay, all right.
On the biggest stage.
Yeah, okay.
On the biggest stage.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, so at the back end of this fashion thing, we thought we'd do a mock photo shoot to take the power back and show what a fashionable guy I am. It was done very tongue in cheek. But I sent a message. I didn't make the video, but I sent a message to our team. I was like, people gonna know this is a piss take because it kind of looks like I'm trying really hard to be fashionable. I'm not sure if it landed, but we got a message from Paddy Gale saying, mate, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Which is probably reflective of maybe it didn't land. But anyway, we're trying.
Just for context, what jean are you running today?
Yeah, I've gone back to this sort of... Well, I'm working after this, so it's more of a formal jean, not those new baggy ones.
Yeah. Baggy. I'm not sure about how I feel about the baggy jean, but I'm not the one.
Anyway, moving on. He's asked, how often do you guys socialise with former guests? Seems like you create real strong connections. Wondered if they manifest into friendships. Until we got this question, I hadn't really thought about this, but on reflection, we actually do keep in contact with a lot of our guests, and I've made a list of ones that we've recently had after episode connections with. Brodie Kane, we went out for dinner with her a few weeks ago, which was an opportunity to talk about what's going on with our podcast and where we're hoping to take them, and just share some common IP. Is that what you say?
Yeah, IP. We out-celeb'd Brodie Kane at dinner as well, didn't we?
That's right. Fuck, that was funny.
We had there was a fan of the show who was at dinner at the same place, and he looked over, saw Steve and I arrive. Hey, Between Two Beers guys. Hey mate, how you going? And then Brodie joined us for dinner, and then after about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, he plucked up the courage and he came over, phone in hand, wanting a photo with us. And I don't think he realised it was Brodie Kane that was sitting with us, and asked her to take the photo. And then he was like, oh, you should be on the show. When he clicked, and she was like, I have been. And we're like, yeah, she has been. And he didn't ask for her photo.
Asking her to take a photo, yeah, that is gold.
We do frequent the food establishments around near we record, don't we? Because we met up with Luke Kemmy's at that same spot earlier on as well, and that's continued into like a WhatsApp thread of kind of streaming consciousness about different ideas and things that you should try, and sharing experiences. So that's a big part of it, is once we've recorded an episode with people that are, especially in kind of the podcasting game, is kind of keeping that conversation going once the microphones are switched off. And that's really cool. Like, it's a whole community that we're a part of.
Yeah.
And all coming up together.
Yeah, you said Between Two Beers universe once, which I like, and it's the collective knowledge of all these guests that we can lean on. Like, Kemmy's is a master in like progressive marketing and how to build brands and things. So, and building community. So like, we've leaned on him a lot for advice in that space.
Yeah, but we've taken advantage, well, in this specific example, like, you've taken advantage of an opportunity that's presented itself after we've had a guest on, when you went out to Dave Wood's workshop out in Piha, right? So that's an extension of the conversation that we had in here, and taking away a nugget of information and then utilising it, and then building a relationship off the back of that too. Because I think you're seeing his physio for your hips too.
Yeah, that was great. And, you know, I've struggled with these hips for ages. I had a bit of a dead wall. And it wasn't until Dave came on and spoke about his hips being in a worse place than mine are, and how he managed to get them right. So I went out and did his course, and I've done a session with him, and he's passed me on to someone he recommends to help me out. But like, access to that like elite level coach based on a conversation we've had, and he's helping me out, like, that is a really cool part of this journey, which maybe until I was answering this question, I didn't really reflect on. Socially, we've been to Mark Ellis's bar a couple of times, which was like a surreal experience.
Yeah.
Something we sort of pinched ourselves. What do you say? We pinch ourselves regularly at that. I've been out for coffees with him, and I'd like to think there's a friendship there. He's someone we definitely look up to. Played golf with Marcus Daniel out at Ngarawahia. We're trying to get out for another tea time, but it's a bit hard to get our schedules
Sync
aligned.
your schedules up. Yeah, I like to call Ross Taylor a friend of mine now. I go for coffees with him every now and again. I'm actually trying to get his wife, Victoria, out of retirement to come and play football for the women's first team down at Melville. So that's a kind of a constant work on. I won't say that our friendship is veiled in me just trying to get his wife to play football, but
it certainly sounds that way.
Yeah, it does sound that way. And I think if you check my DMs to Victoria, they'd probably all just constantly be on that stream. Where we're based here as well at NZME, we're lucky that we bump into the people that work here that we've had on the podcast as well. So Matt and Jerry, if we're recording in the morning, Mike Minogue and Jason Hoyt if we're here in the afternoon, and Jono and Ben, people like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, but there is a connection, because this long form, there's something really special in it, and we often talk about their vulnerabilities or their raw moments, and it creates a connection. So it's not just like a regular interview. I feel like we see these guys, we're sort of connected on a deeper level, which is quite cool. But also, a lot of the time, New Zealand is so small, these successful people in their field, they know all the other successful people in their field. So we often lean on former guests for info on guests we've got coming up, which also helps sort of
build that connection.
Yeah.
And of course, there's like our first 10 to 20 foundation guests, which were pretty much our friends that maybe they think we've forgotten about them, but we definitely haven't forgotten about those ones that helped us
cut them loose.
Those ones that helped us get here, that helped us cut our teeth and hone the craft of asking good questions, which on reflection, to be able to ask quite difficult questions of your friends is really special that they allowed us to do that, to get us or help us get to kind of where we are today. So we can't forget about them no matter how hard we try.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the origin story of Between Two Beers. Like you say, cutting our teeth. You listen back to some of those early episodes, and I haven't actually, but I'm sure they were just raw and rough. But that's like anything. Like, you just got to keep going and you sort of improve the craft.
But people find through the Between Two Beers journey, they find some of those origin episodes as well and be like, what were you doing on Between Two Beers? You're our lawyer.
Yeah.
It's like it's a weird kind of amazing journey. I think it's pretty fair to say that we try and maintain positive connections with anybody that's been on this show, right?
But also, and this is a little bit of a different way of looking at it, but once you get to a certain age, it's really hard to make new friends. Like, it's really hard to naturally build those connections. So it's like we've done 136 episodes, and most of those I would consider would be approaching a level of friend. It's like the way that this is allowing us to just build our social circle and our networking and our connections. Like, it's kind of like a life hack.
Well, funnily enough, that actually leads us into our next question from Jeremy Watson, who wants to hear about your life hacks, specifically your life hacks, which tells me that maybe my life hacks aren't worth sharing or hearing about, which is a little bit upsetting, but I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I used to be really big into life hacks. I feel like I've got a couple that have stuck with me, and I feel like a life hack only becomes a life hack if it stands the test of time, which is years. It needs to stick with you for years. So there's been a lot of fads that have dropped off, but there's 3 which are pretty fundamental to my life, and they all involve things which were really difficult at first, and then
spotting scams.
All right. I pursued and overcame, and now I really enjoy. One of them is fasting. I've been fasting for about 4 years, so I try to eat 1 meal a day, normally about 5 o'clock with the kids. That's a life hack because I don't have to worry about food at all. I have a couple of black coffees during the day. It keeps my energy level. I don't get hungry. It just seems easy. If you're not a foodie, it seems like a real life hack. A lot of people, like my wife, can't do it because she loves her sort of meals so much. I'm not really built that way. That's one. The other one is swimming, which is something which I hated. When I got injured and I couldn't run anymore, which was a really important part of my life. So I've started swimming, and to start with, I hated it and it sucked, and I got a coach, which was a little bit humbling as a 38-year-old man. Swim 2 lengths, struggled with it, but kept going back, and now it's a regular part of my routine. I do that 3 or 4 times a week, that sort of cardio outlet. And there's that meditative quality in the water, unplugged from everything, alone with my thoughts, getting a workout in. So swimming has become a really important part. And then the cold immersion, ice, cold showers. So like I talk about with the test of time, I got really into the Wim Hof a few years back, and I always thought the breathing part of it was the thing that I connected with the strongest, but it actually turned out it was the cold. And I know that because I have cold showers every morning and every night, and I've been doing it for years.
When was the last time you had a hot shower?
I can't remember.
Like, is that no exaggeration? Like, you've literally not one day gone...
I'll have a bath sometimes.
I fucking can't stand that you have baths. I cannot stand that you have baths as an adult. I seriously...
Yeah, we're going to get a spa soon, but...
It's even worse.
But yeah, no, cold showers every time. It's not even a question anymore. It's just always cold, and it's just automatic. And that's something I'm really proud of. I feel like it's the psychological win to start the day. Middle of winter, early in the morning, get up, have a cold shower. It's just it works for me. So yeah, those are the 3 that spring to mind. Life hacks, which I don't know, optimize my life.
Is the bath thing because you grew up with a spa bath at Thames Street?
No, I just like warm water. I just like that feeling of floating in warm water.
But you like cold showers at the same time. It's a real paradox.
I'm a complex beast.
You are a complex beast. The thought of an adult in a pool of their own filth just doesn't bring me any excitement.
Yeah.
Unless you shower before the bath.
Yeah.
You do shower before the bath. You do shower before the bath?
We need to move off the bath.
I think people will be interested in this.
People don't care about it.
I care about it.
Right, we got one more question. You want to read this one?
No, because it's a plant. You planted this question, and it's bullshit. It's from Brenda Holloway, which is Stephen's mum, who says, loved the ep with Jeremy Wells, but I couldn't make sense of the sloppy fork and knife situation. Stephen has always been such a beautifully clean and well-refined diner. Now, I know this is a planted question because your beautiful mother, Brenda, would never use the term sloppy fork and knife. She would use sloppy knife and fork to begin with, and she wouldn't use sloppy. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like this was a stitch up. So this was brought up in the Jeremy Wells where you've had to go out of nowhere about the way I present my cutlery at the end of the meal.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I was like, where's this come from? I sort of just took it on the chin, but I don't think I'm
Pause
like
you
that.
there. What happened when we had a meal at the Empire Tavern around the corner not long after that episode?
Yeah, my mind wasn't in a good place.
Now, what happened?
Yeah, I left I left with my knife and fork at opposite sides of the plate.
Yeah, it was like at 12 and 6.
Yeah.
And I tried to take a photo of it, and unfortunately, because I run a shitty phone operation, the photo quality maybe isn't usable, but I've still got it on my phone, and I'm still willing, if the people want.
No, people don't care about
No,
it.
if people want to see the photo of this, the photographic evidence, drop us a DM.
Is that one of your pet peeves?
That's one of them, along with baths, as an adult,
basically
as
me.
an adult male.
Nah, you spend enough time with someone, they become your pet peeve, I guess.
It's only those two things you do that annoy me. The baths don't annoy me. I just don't understand it. But the knife and fork thing, that's not just you. That's a consistent.
Yeah.
Table manners, I think, are very important.
That fork and knife thing came from the Jeremy Wells episode. That was such a minor part of the Jeremy Wells episode, that comment, but it seems to have expanded outside of the ep. But so you said you were just catching up with him. What did he say?
I did. He had been away. Well, Jeremy's been away with his family on holiday, and he came back. He was away when the episode dropped, so I just curiously asked, had he had much feedback? He said his DMs were going hard for about 5 days from strangers, which told him that there was something out there about himself. He doesn't tend to follow too much about himself, but they all seem to be positive. The episode itself, I told him we got rave feedback on it about people hearing about things that they hadn't heard from Jeremy Wells before, which he found interesting, that he was pretty adamant that he'd spoken on a lot of platforms, formal and informal, and people should know most things about him.
I feel like he would drop little bits, but they get swept away in the bants. So, yeah, a concentrated Jeremy Wells ep was gold. Oh, yeah, I imagine he's the kind of guy that would never listen back or read the article about the podcast or anything that was on the Herald.
I don't think so. We pulled away at his luck thread again, just in conversation there, which I thought was actually, on reflection, a really interesting part of the episode, his kind of view about luck and we're lucky to exist. And we got into quite a deep conversation in about 5 minutes before he was dragged away. But that's an example of, I guess, getting to chat with episodes post-recording and continue those friendships afterwards. It's really cool.
Check out you with all your mad mates.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a nice part of what we do.
Yeah. No, it is cool. I hope you've enjoyed this little window into the back end of Between Two Beers. Like I said, we are going to make this a regular thing. So if there are things you would like us to discuss, or if there are questions you have, flick them through at any time, and we'll just store them away for when we record.
Yeah, I mean, we love getting feedback, good, bad, and different, about what we do and how we do it. So if you've got anything that you want to know about, then drop us a line.
Cheers.
Enjoy.